So this is a review for Pappy's Puppy, and with me today are a bunch of puppies, I suppose. My good friends Matt Hunter and Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor. Say hi. And the whole review will be just that. They'll just be barking at me. That's right. Yeah, the whole review will be just like that. But in any case, a few bits of info to get underway. So as mentioned, this is a review for Pappy's Puppy, released on the 17th of December 1955. It's the 757th in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. Now, you may have noticed already that I'm using a film print, because at the time of this recording, it has not been restored. Hopefully it will one day. It's actually one of 4 shorts in the 1950s that has not been restored yet, 2 of which there might be issues because of character stereotypes and that, but this one and one other one, there's really no issue, I think. I've been told, though, the film print has major damage, and that's why this is taking a long time to get sorted.
This looks better than the TV Master that they currently show on MeTV, so that'll tell you. This is almost in the opposite direction, as it's like slower and redder. The TV version is like time compressed and kind of gray looking. We got to get the Warner official version out there.
And for those who may be questioning, hey, I know where this film print comes from. Yes, the person who did the scan, he doesn't wish to be named. He is aware I use film prints for some of these reviews that don't have a better version out there. So he's aware, and he's more than happy for me to use them. I just want to get that out there so that everyone is aware. But in case you haven't seen this one, it is under copyright. So even this version or the time compressed version, whatever, you're not going to see it on YouTube unless Warner Brothers themselves put it on there, and they might. I don't know. We start at the hospital where Butch J. Bulldog, beautiful name by the way, if I ever do own a dog, I'm just going to name a dog that even if they're not a bulldog. He gets a son. He is teaching his son the usual dog things, including what to do in terms of seeing a cat. We see Sylvester, and then we just see a whole bunch of gags of Sylvester just wanted to be left alone, but he keeps getting pestered by this puppy. I don't even recall seeing this much on TV at all. I mean, was this one played often where you guys were?
I saw it on Nickelodeon as a kid, a fair amount, but kind of like in the early days when they were running them, and then I didn't see it as much because they got better cartoons. And I'm not saying this is a bad one. I actually like this cartoon. I think there are people who've compared it to Friz Freleng's answer to a Spike and Tyke cartoon. If you've ever seen the Tom and Jerry series with Spike and Tyke.
The big difference between the two series, at least there is a difference, and here that it's mostly silent short. There's only 2 lines spoken the entire time. You've got the doctor in the beginning saying,
Mr. Butch J. Bulldog? Yeah. It's a boy.
And at the very end, we see the Stork, who's not drunk, by the way. Usually that character would be drunken, but no, he seems to be just on the up and up. Maybe that's the first delivery before he's had a drink. Saying,
Butch J. Bulldog live here? I have an addition to his family.
so they've just got 2 lines. It's definitely interesting that sometimes you'll see shared things between different studios where there's maybe not deliberate copying, but there's definitely influences between the studios. But the other big trivia for this one, if you look at the credits scene, and this has only happened a few times in the Chuck Jones shorts and recently the McKimson ones, but this is one of those very rare times you see in a Freleng short, there's just one animator, and it's Jerry Chinicki, and this would have been done as the studio was reopening and the units were still being reassembled. So if you need a Rosetta Stone of sorts to see how Jerry Chinicki animates and only him, this is the short to have for comparison. Because Manny, you were mentioning that some of the drawings here, you're like, oh yeah, but is that how he draws it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't have the eye for recognizing animators. I mean, I could see certain cartoons and I notice like, oh, in this scene, Bugs looks similar to how Daffy looks in this cartoon. I notice like little things in like the facial features, the way the character moves. But watching this one and seeing like, especially some of the reactions that Butch was making and Sylvester, I'm like, I've seen those specific poses and facial reactions in different Freleng cartoons. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have a better sense of how Jerry Chinicki animates in general, because certain animators, like we were saying before, we were recording, like Bob McKimson is easy to point out. Rod Scrivener was pretty easy to identify.
Ross.
Yeah, I could get some Art Davis ones. I know, like when I was watching some of the 40s cartoons from Frank Tashlin, I could start picking out scenes animated by Cal Dalton and things of that nature, but I'm nowhere near the level of Devon and Austin. And also, like, in the case of Devon, like he has access to the actual.
He's done the research. And
he's
done
the
actual
research.
Paperwork. Incredible what he does. Like,
and that's amazing work. Go support Anthony's Patreon, but also to support Devon's, because
as well. Yeah,
he has a ton of amazing stuff, especially if you're a real nailed for knowing who the animators were in particular, that's a guy to go to.
Yeah, as I said, this is a nice little Rosetta Stone of sorts. And if you want to know, I guess, where the Funko Pop style comes from,
Somebody's going to go on Looney Tune Wiki and say, according to Anthony's animation talk, this is where the Funko style developed. And it was all the collaboration between Fritz Freeling and Jerry Chinicki. Source, Anthony's animation talk.
Exactly. But no. It's not true, guys. Just so I want to make that absolutely clear. But it's just one of those little weird things where you look at it going, it reminds me of a Funko Pop, I don't particularly like him, but still reminds me of him. So there's that. I reckon we take a look at this short from start to finish and just see if this one is worthy of, I guess, a rediscovery of sorts, and I guess in anticipation of a future restoration that's bound to happen given that it's a very safe short. The opening of this short, though, I love the backgrounds here. We even see a Stork in the background, and I like the fact that this hospital is just a generic name. The Dog and Cat Hospital is just a generic... It's like, oh, you got a sick bird? Go away. Just dogs and cats here. No other animals. I wonder if that's the same dog and cat hospital that was in that one Popeye short, the one where they're trying to intentionally get injured so they could be in the hospital, so they could be looked after by Olive Oil. And she goes, no, this is a dog and cat hospital, and it's just as that. So, there's your crossover right there. But look at the expressions of Butch J. Bulldog, and I can tell you that my face, less the smoking, of course, that was my face in the delivery room when my kid's being born, just the whole anticipation, like what's going on. So I can definitely relate to that, but just to put this in perspective for people who weren't aware, back then, the men would not be in the delivery room themselves. They would actually be in the waiting room, and yes, you could smoke in hospitals at the time. So there's that, because a lot of people wouldn't know that.
Yeah, and then the people would congratulate the dad and hand out cigars when the baby was delivered.
Yeah, but I do have to wonder in this whole short, though, and you don't really need this, but where is the mum anyway? There doesn't seem to be a mum around for this.
There wasn't a mama bulldog in the MGM Spike and Tyke cartoons either. It was always a father and son duo, so
yeah,
it's cartoon logic.
But here, this is all about the father and son relationship. Back at home, you've got the proud dad. He's even put on his doghouse, Butch and Son. Nice little touch. And just the expressions here when Butch teaches his son how to walk, how to act tough, and just the way he just shows the expression he should be making. He's a proud dad, and he gets me right here as a dad as well. I'm proud of my two kids. I mean, I don't literally change their faces for expressions, but of course not. No. I know you do that with your dog, Manny. It's like, come on, smile. When you're trying to give I don't know, a piece of medicine or something in a roll of cheese or something.
Yeah. I would start flopping her ears or pressing her nose, no. I'm not a father myself. I do have a dog, and my experiences as an educator, I do look at my students. I feel like a surrogate father to them, but I don't know, like maybe in the past few months, I'll be 40 in a few years, and the thought of becoming a dad one day does pop in my head more often than it used to. I still remember the days like, the grown-ups, and they have their kids, and it's like, oh crap, we're the grown-ups with the kids now. Yeah. And even seeing Butch's reaction in this cartoon, like even though, like I said, I'm not a father myself, I can somewhat understand that sense of pride and joy in seeing your kid. And like I said, Anthony, you have two of your own, so you know that on a daily basis. So it definitely does touch a soft spot in my heart. I'll say that.
As a 41-year-old cat dad, of course, I saw this as a kid. I didn't really care. I just thought it was a funny cartoon. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, Sylvester gets a raw deal in this cartoon. And I mean, come on, man. He's a chew toy. Dad lets the little puppy chew on Sylvester for the entire cartoon. Some of the gags are really funny and the timing is really funny. But I'm like, man, what did Sylvester do?
Matt, we know the answer. He's a bad old putty tat. That's why he deserves it.
He is, but in this one, he doesn't do anything to provoke anybody. In a lot of the other cartoons, Sylvester deserves what he gets. He's the instigator, or he's the villain, or something like that. But here, he's just asleep, literally. He's taking a nap in the backyard, and all of a sudden this little monster goes after him and chews up his tail. And that's like his entire goal in the cartoon, is to chew on Sylvester, and the dad encourages it. And that's it. What's funnier about it, though, is that I really like the music in this cartoon, because it's Carl Stalling, and he just does the same little riff over and over and over again for the little bulldogs. For the big bulldog, it's da 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 da. then for the little bulldog, it's. And that's all there really is to it, to the score.
Matt, I wanted to jump on the little theme that you hear for Pappy and Puppy, singing a dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and going again with how much I love the way that Stalling arranges and Milt Franklin orchestrates. So arranging is pretty much taking the music and rewriting it for a different style, a different this, different that. Pretty much the Stalling and Franklin relationship for about 20 years. But when you hear Pappy walking, bum, 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 it sounds like it's a bunch of trombones playing that theme.
Right, a deep brass, and then when you hear the little puppy, it's like upper woodwinds, you know?
Yep. I hear like piccolos, and you also hear the piano being played in a very high register.
Which makes me curious to hear it at the correct speed, because this film print we're using is like sped down, and the version that you see on TV that's so horrible is time compressed. So I'm like, what does the correct speed of this cartoon sound like? I bet it sounds great.
Collector's Vault Volume 2. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
And Sylvester, the whole while, is enduring all this torture, which is this little dog chewing on him. I don't know what to think of this cartoon. I liked it when I was a kid, and then when I've rewatched it, I'm like, I like it, but I'm like, man, poor Sylvester.
He's basically a kid, maybe a little bit spoiled because that lets him get away with whatever to torture Sylvester. But I like the fact that during this training with that cat, how the cat doll falls down and then scares the kid, but he actually acts like a kid would. You know, like he's trying something happens all of a sudden, but he runs back behind the parents, and the parents being all protective. So it's a nice touch. But the whole thing with Sylvester, he does nothing to provoke any of what happens to him in this short. I mean, case in point, the young bulldog is playing with a ball, and he mistakes Sylvester's nose for the ball. You know, innocent mistake, but ouch. That's all I could think of it. But I like then that the pup has to verify that this is a cat. So he goes to that doll, looks at it, that's a cat, comes back, and then acts all aggressive. And, well, we got the height difference, and Sylvester ends up doing something to the puppy, which is putting him in a tin can.
Don't feel bad for the puppy. I don't. The puppy kind of deserved that, you know?
Yeah.
Then Dad goes and does it to Sylvester. There's one gag that, if we're not going to go gag by gag in this cartoon, but there's one where the puppy brings Sylvester a stick, because that's what dogs do, is they bring people a stick. And Sylvester sees the traffic, and he's like, oh. He gets this devilish expression. He tries to throw the stick into the traffic, and then, of course, Pappy shows up. And where have we seen this gag before? Well, we see it later in another Freeling cartoon called Honey's Money, where it's Yosemite Sam and adopted son doing the same gag. And I think he did it better in that one.
And that's when I first saw that gag, which is them refining it. Yeah, like, all I gotta say is that whole tin can hammering onto Sylvester in the shed bit, animation-wise, looks really, really good. But honestly, yeah, I feel for Sylvester here. I didn't laugh at that bit. I don't know. I mean, it's well done in terms of animation and timing, but yeah, it falls a bit flat, but oh well, can't win them all, I guess. But then we see Sylvester walking along, and the baby bulldog is biting his tail. As I said, it's just being annoying. But what do we hear? And what's the main theme, I guess, from here on, Manny?
The main theme. So let's do a quick edition of it. It's time for bark, 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 bark. So in this cartoon, there's only really 2 cues, and that's it. That's all she wrote. So later on in the cartoon, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We do hear a little bit of "Ain't We Got Fun" in the morning, in the evening. Ain't we got fun? Which I will talk about in a future episode of Manny's Music Time for when we get to the short 1937.
Wasn't that a Warren and Dubin one too?
No, it is not. It is by, I think it's Richard Egan. I keep wanting to say Egon, like Egon Spengler from the Ghostbusters. I believe it says R.B. Egan. I'm going to assume it's Richard. I don't have the full information in front of me. Gus Kahn, I do remember that one, and Richard Whiting. So 3 songwriters for that one. And the main theme of this song is "Who Let the Dogs Out" by the Baha Men. That's what Anthony was. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a few decades. No, I was. It was actually the album "Doggy Style" by Snoop Dogg. Oh no, sorry, wrong. Sorry, I'm barking up the wrong tree on this one, right? No, it is
For shizzle.
For shizzle. No, it is "Oh Where Is My Little Dog Gone," a traditional song. And of course, this is what I sing every single day when Nina's running around the house and I don't know what she's doing, up to no good. And yeah, as Anthony, you were saying before, or Matt, I don't know, one of you guys.
The rest of it is all stalling.
Exactly. Like, we're in this period now in the 50s where I'm looking at the cue sheets. Actually, the next cartoon that's on this cue sheet is one that has a bunch of different cues. It's One Froggy Evening and Bugs' Bonnet. Actually, those two have a lot. But this one is only really two, and it's really neat to hear more of the stalling originals. According to the cue sheets that I have, it has a number next to it. It's like number 1 cue is the Merry Melodies theme. Number 2 is "Oh Where's My Little Dog Gone?" But then it jumps to number 12 for "Ain't We Got Fun?" And that's a long-term goal of mine, is to see what are the names of the stalling originals. Because, Stalling wrote it. He had to get it submitted and ASCAP and copyright and all that stuff. So, like, number 3 could be, like, original dog song. Number 4 is Puppy biting Sylvester. Like, we don't know the names of those stalling originals. I do know that in Daniel Goldmark's book, he did pretty much the entire cue sheet for Bugs Bunny Rides Again, and he had the names of the stalling originals contained within the other stuff that he borrowed from, different composers and whatnot. But it's like generic names, like Bugs talking to Sam threatening Bugs, and it's probably this where it's like Pappy is proud, Pappy talks to Puppy, things like that. But I want to know the names of it, so I'm like, oh, cool. Kind of like in the other commentaries that we've done, where like Carl Stalling has particular cues that don't have a name, but we could recognize them. Like the one I always think of is the stalling cue in the key of G minor. Bum bum ba dum ba dum bum ba dum. Yeah. I love that
like
one.
In Wild Hair.
Wild Hair, Chewin' Bruin. Going back to what you were saying before, guys, I was looking at it again when you guys were talking about it. But right after the puppy, he goes away from the dummy or the fake cat, and he starts chewing on Sylvester's tail. I'm looking at how it's animated, and it cracks me up how he looks. It's like a little piranha attacking his tail and then starts chewing his hand. It's just, I really like the way it's animated. Kinnicky did a really nice job doing it, and I was even going to say, "What are you doing?" And I wanted to be at when you guys were like, "Oh, why is he being such a mean puppy?" I'm like, I will not stand this dog prejudice coming out of you two cat lovers. Thank you very much.
Now you sound like Mr. Jinx. Hell, I will not stand you dog lovers giving us cats a bad name. I almost hate you as much as I hate those Mises.
But I love the rendition of Ain't We Got Fun here. It's like a different variation of it. So I don't know, there's something about it. I love when Starling reuses certain cues, but he does it in different ways. Butch goes up to him and wallops Sylvester and basically forces Sylvester to keep letting his son bite his tail. I feel sorry for Sylvester. I really, really do in this one. But then we go to the scene that, was redone for Honey's Money, that whole playing fetch with the stick, which, I agree. When he does it in Honey's Money, the timing is a lot better, but here is still pretty good. Just the timing of the fact that when Sylvester's about to throw a stick onto the road, and in that split second, we then pan over and we see that Butch has grabbed the stick and throws it onto the street for Sylvester to get. And you think, Sylvester is actually successful, but no. He gets run over by a man on a scooter that happens to be on the sidewalk, and there's that. So, a nice little gag, but is the best version of it? Not really, but Yeah.
This one was Yosemite Sam, no question.
Yeah, I think so. But we get, then after that, Sylvester playing fetch with the baby bulldog again. He throws the ball into the doghouse. It boards it up with the bulldog inside of it. And you see a little hole, which we all know is going to be used for something in this CAG, right? But Butch happens to be outside, and he puts the doghouse over Sylvester with the dynamite. I guess in any other cartoon, the doghouse would just be exploded as the end of your gag. But no, they added a little topper this time. Sylvester actually pushes out the dynamite. Butch pushes it back in, and so on until Butch boards it up. But the timing. And what I love about this bit is when Sylvester almost undoes that one little board, but no, he blows up, and we get that beautiful shot of him just looking all blown up and shocked.
Yes. And they did that again with Sylvester in another Speedy Gonzalez cartoon, actually, where Sylvester is in a barrel, and then he tries to escape, and there's a piece of TNT in the barrel.
They definitely have redone it a few times.
Chuck Jones did it with Wile
Definitely.
Coyote, with dynamite inside a barrel, and you see the nails come out. You know, dee, 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 and then like on the last one, he escapes, and then the dynamite explodes.
The next gag, though, is similar to a Wile E. Coyote gag. Because I know that something similar has been done. It involves the shotgun, where the puppy is tugging on that bone because of this trap. You know, if he tugs on the bone, he'll end up getting shot, which is pretty morbid if you think about it. You know, the dog, what, Sylvester now wants to kill this dog? It's like, wow.
Blame him?
Yeah, but
Typical cat.
yeah, it's like, ooh, that's pretty gruesome, but sure enough. Butch then gives Sylvester a stern look, and Sylvester runs over. I like how he plugs his finger into the shotgun hole. But the expression of Sylvester trying to work through that pain of constantly getting shot, that's such great animation.
Yeah.
That scene was painful to watch. Like, I was like,
That's gotta hurt. And then he pulls the finger out, and he gets shot in the face. I'm like, ow!
that made me chuckle when he eventually shot him in the face.
Regardless of your thoughts on the short, because I am definitely a little bit picky on this one, but the ending, though, such a perfect punchline. I think this more than makes up for the rest of it, where the Stork arrives, not drunk, as I mentioned before, and it says congratulations, and you got even more puppies to add to the family, and they're all the same puppy, just animated over and over, I suppose. And Sylvester, he is pissed. Hey, he's got the shotgun, so he starts shooting at him. So, yeah, at least it ends really well.
For once, the drunken Looney Tune Stork does his job correctly. He's sober and everybody hates him. When he's drunk and he screws up, at least like the people like him. But this time he does his job exactly as described. And then just that expression on Sylvester when he sees this. First of all, the sign of shock. And then he sees the bulldogs. And then the bulldogs start chewing on him. And then just that look of anger, and he points the gun right at the Stork. It's like, oh, yes. He is
100%.
justified in that.
Yeah, I think so. And we end right there. So, watching this short, this is actually the first time I've seen it. I had not seen this one before. I just never encountered it for whatever reason. And, you know, it doesn't help that it hasn't been put on any set yet. But, look, this one, the gags are fine. They're timed well, animated well. And it's impressive whenever one person animates an entire short. But I think the problem I have with this one is that, yeah, this puppy character, he's supposed to be cute and all that stuff. But honestly, he does wrong and he's not reprimanded. He's even encouraged. And poor Sylvester's getting the brunt of it. Yeah. And this isn't a case of, you know, being a cat lover or his dog lover or whatever. It's just the whole character theme. But I can't find myself hating this one altogether. There's a lot of good in it, and it's got a great ending, which more than makes up for it. So, I reckon 7 out of 10. Yeah, I can't find myself hating this one too much. 7 out of 10.
I'm going to go the same, Proby. But let's say like 7, maybe 7.5 for the ending.
I would say 7 out of 10. The fatherhood moments are sweet, and the puppies barking is cute, but I didn't see myself really laughing out loud. The part that probably gave me the most of a chuckle was when Sylvester pulled his finger out of the gun. And the ending was pretty charming. I'm just hoping, you know, whenever it may be, that when they reveal the contents of Collector's Vault Volume 2, this could be on it, because this would be a really nice cartoon to put on. Just seeing it look so much better than the film print or the time compressed version that's on television right now.
Our collective opinion might change to see it as originally intended.
Yeah.
But I still think the problem is this little dog, he's clearly doing the wrong thing, but he's encouraged. So, I don't know. But, hey, either way, it's going to look nicer. So, there is that, you know. But, in any case, that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And until next time, take care.
Woof.
Woof.
Oh!